Hey guys, welcome back. 1776 or bust. On the table, you see the Wilson Combat Lower with the original SIG P320 X carry lower. Both are really nice. Now, this is what came with the gun originally. Again, there are obvious differences, and I did a video on this one that kind of sort of compared this one as well. But one of the questions that was asked was, well, does this beaver tail actually make you feel like you're holding the gun a little bit lower than this one? So what I did was, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you basically how these line up top to bottom. So these are equal on top. What you're going to see is that the beaver tail on the Wilson Combat actually is a little bit cut higher than the actual 320X carry. As a matter of fact, the undercut in here too is slightly deeper. So for those of you out there who thought that this was sitting higher in the hand, it actually sits lower in the hand and you're sitting further underneath the slide. So to me, this one wins out because it is more ergonomic and it feels better in my hand, but that's my opinion, doesn't have to be yours. Again, this is polymer. The the texturing on the grip was really nice. I mean, guys, check out the video. It was a good video. At least I thought so. But it doesn't discount this one either. I mean, there are people out there who are going to pay maybe $150, maybe even higher to get this stippled and to do some little doodads to it. And that's great. No problem if that's what you want to do. However, if you're going to spend $200 to stipple polymer and do whatever you want, or spend $60 to get something like this, which is a little bit nicer, I'm going to show you something here that I think is going to kind of, in my opinion, revolutionize the 320X series, including all those SIG fanboys out there that some of you may be. So the first thing I want to do is I want to give credit to one person who kind of put this out there because I did not know this company existed until I saw them posting it. So that, as much as I hate to say this, I'm going to give credit to Bald and Curious for that because he posted this company. And I don't know if it was in response to me saying that the one gun that I wanted to try to see if somebody would make would be an all aluminum bodied handgun, a lower, that is, and then obviously the steel slide, because obviously we have CZs, we have all these steel hammer fired guns, aluminum hammer fired guns. But I always wanted to get a striker fired gun that had an aluminum lower and the steel upper. So obviously the PPQ came out and that's a nice little dealio, but it's a steel frame, so it's heavy. So I contacted Icarus Precision and they sent this little guy to me. So I'll put that out there on the table so you can see it. So what you're seeing right here is their prototype. So in all disclosure, I did get this from them for free. However, this little guy has to go back and it sucks because I friggin' love this thing. So I'm going to, hopefully fire this in a couple of days so I can see how it actually shoots with recoil. But it is going to go back to them once I'm done with that final review. But I do appreciate it. So big shout out to Icarus Precision. Guys, check them out. They have some cool stuff, especially for the X carry and now also for the P365s, which is kind of interesting. So this thing right here, because it's its prototype, there is going to be some tooling marks on here that I noticed. You will not see that on the finished product. If you go to their website, you're going to see that you can get one that's unfinished or you can get one that actually is Cerakoted. So, you can get that on there so that it covers all the aluminum. The body on this is 6061. I believe it's 6061. And the ones they're actually selling to the public are 7075. So they're actually a little bit more rigid, or I should say a lot more rigid, but the feeling would not change from what I'm actually feeling in my hand. So even though this aluminum is a little bit lower grade, and then the ones that they sell to all of you guys, if you choose to buy them, are higher grade, there really is not going to be a significant difference between the way they feel, just the rigidity of the actual body. So let's take a close look at this thing. So as you can see, there's not really what you would call stippling. However, there are these little, I don't know what you want to call them, almost like a hole or a spongy or like a coral looking type of side, plus the rear and of course the front straps. So one of the things I noticed when I first put this in my hand was that it almost suctions to your hand. I don't know if that's what the intention is with all these little circles, but it certainly feels like it sucks your hand in. So as soon as you put your hand on that gun and you give it a little bit of pressure, especially with that support hand, it almost feels like this gun is absolutely going to go nowhere. And that's kind of cool. I mean, that to me was very striking when I first put my hands on it. One of the things you're going to see is that the features of this gun are and I'll pull out the original, but they are very similar to the old one. So again, you can see your little finger shelf here. And again, they do have that right there. So that's kind of interesting. Now they've cut this out here versus this side here. And you're going to notice that the trigger guard is almost identical. However, this one actually I think is more functional than this one for a couple of reasons. First off, the undercut on this trigger guard you can see is a slight angle. This one is a deeper undercut in the trigger guard. And then on top of this, where your finger goes, this is actually deeper and rounded off. So while you have this one isn't as deep. I don't know if you guys can tell that, but you can see that this one doesn't have much of a deep undercut, and then it's cut out here for your finger. So as soon as you get your hand on this finger goes pretty far back, and it just gives you that ability to stabilize the gun, or at least that's what it's going to feel like. At least I hope so. And it just such a natural feeling handgun now, or at least a lower. Now, of course, some people are going to say, look, how much is this thing really? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. It is a hefty price tag. It is about $360. Now, that will include, obviously, the 7075 aluminum body. That's also Cerakoted. And then they send it to you, and now you have this aluminum striker-fired handgun. The fit and finish on this one, even though it's a prototype, is really, really good. There is absolutely nothing I would even remotely complain about, even though it is a prototype. You don't see, like I said, a tremendous amount of tooling marks, even though this was kind of the little practice job. There are some little swirlies here from the machines, but other than that, it looks pretty damn solid. Again, the texturing is very smooth, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like it's going to give you any issues of slippage. And again, I won't know that till I shoot it, but I just think the way this was cut here, it actually allows you to really get such a nasty grip on this gun that I can't see this thing slipping out of your hand. So it's almost like it doesn't want to get out of your hand. It's like it's stuck to your hand and your finger there, which I think is pretty cool. One of the other things, you will have to remove your mag release from one of your SIG lowers onto this. So that's something you have to keep in mind. And it's fairly easy to do. You can see it has the pick rail in the front here. It is a very nice rounded feel. It doesn't feel too thick. It feels, the way this is cut in here, it actually feels like it's reduced the radius of the grip. So overall, it actually feels fairly solid and fairly comfortable in the hand. Again, you can see the logo on the Icarus Precision lower here. It's pretty cool. I do like that. And again, just kind of giving a good once around. It's really interesting how these work. Again, I'm going to see what I feel like when my hand starts to sweat as I shoot. But like I said, just the way this feels in my hand right now, I cannot foresee this gun slipping out of my hand. That could obviously change. Now, obviously, one of the things, too, that you're going to want to know is whether or not this modular lower actually works super well with the actual, the trigger body, whatever, the stupid, trigger unit that they put in the SIGs. So obviously, you guys know I put all my Apex stuff in there, so it looks pretty sweet, and it's really, really solid. So to kind of give you an idea of how easy this really is to put in, it's very similar to every SIG. So obviously, you want to get this little trigger control group in there, and you can see that I've dropped the trigger through. Basically, it's going to work just like every other SIG, and got to get that in there. Make sure is that this piece right here, let's see if you can get that piece right there has to go further back, just like every other SIG. So you may have to play around with it a little bit so that it actually fits in where it's supposed to. And then once it locks into place, you're going to feel it kind of pop right in. And like I said, I know it's off camera right now, but I want to make sure that this is right. So you can see I got that piece low into the frame. Everything should fit in right now, very similar. And you heard that little snap, that little crack, pop, whatever you want to call it. And you can see now that you got the hole for the takedown lever. You can see that the rear portion of the actual trigger control group is right where it needs to be. Here you have your takedown lever, okay? So again, very similar. Line it up with the modular portion of that. And then you basically just slide it through, just like that. There we go. So once you get it in line, you can see that the takedown lever now is functional. Everything should be working with no problem. And we're going to now put the slide on. So hopefully the slide will go on and you guys can see. So here we go. And you can see the slide goes right back. There's no fidgeting with it at all. Locks back in place. You drop your slide release and send it home. So does the trigger work? Yep. So it's absolutely perfect. So now you have a P320X carry in an aluminum body with a steel slide. To me, this is what should be out there more. I know I cannot be the only person out there who wants to see an aluminum body with a steel frame or steel slide on a striker-fired handgun. First off, I know it's going to add weight. There's no doubt in my mind. And I wish I had a scale, but I don't. So I can't tell you how much the weight increased. I am going to tell you, this is the wrong magazine. Duh. I am going to tell you, though, that it definitely feels hefty. Now, this feels more in line, if I was going to say what does it feel like to me, it definitely feels more like a P229. Definitely, I would say that's what it feels like, about the same weight. So take that for what it's worth. Again, the mag release works fine, ejects the magazines. Slide locks back, no problem. Drop the slide just from the lock back position, and everything just functions. Now, one of the other things that I noticed is after I installed the trigger module into this gun is that the take up on the trigger actually feels smaller. Now, one of the things I have to say when I installed the trigger bar on the Apex, it feels like it definitely is rubbing a little bit on the polymer. And that was not only on this one, but also on the other module that came with the gun. But for whatever reason, on this aluminum one, it definitely feels like it's a lot smoother. And that's pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie. That definitely feels a lot nicer. Again, magazine release. Magazine locks back in place. No issues like that. And again, it drops the magazine clear. Again, not a lot of rubbing with the magazine. You get a little bit of friction point right in here, right in this area. But that's to be expected because now you have an aluminum body with basically a steel magazine. However, it does not have any problem releasing the magazine free without you having to pull it out. And I like that. So just give you an idea. There's a side release. Perfect. So overall, I don't know, guys. You know, you guys have to make that choice. For me, I'm going to tell you right now, as soon as I send this back, I am saving up some money and I'm buying one of these for this gun right here in OD green. And I can't wait. I'm just so excited because to me, this is what I've been looking for. This little guy is aluminum. This is steel, an aluminum striker fired handgun. To me, this is what I've been waiting for. Now, if I could convince them to make one for the X Compact, that would be sweet as well. But I have to say, guys, this thing feels so good in my hand, just from the simple fact of the way how deep this undercut goes here, and also the undercut on the trigger guard. The fact that you also have that little bit of an extension on the beaver tail. It is very rounded, so there are no sharp edges whatsoever. So you shouldn't have to worry about this digging into you at all like that or cutting your hand. And it just feels like this is the way this gun should actually operate. Again, is it going to be something that for some people, they're going to say, well, this doesn't work for me? Probably. So for those of you out there who want to try to do this and you want to say, well, what about the holsters? I'm going to show you something. So I have two SIG holsters right here. This one from Eclipse and this one from Black Arch, of course. So this is my outside the waistband from Eclipse holsters. This is what I had for my original lower. And let's see how it works. So there you've got your friction point on the holster. Nice solid click. Sucker's not going anywhere, guys. It's going absolutely nowhere. Fits no problem. Here's my Black Arch. Nice click again. Even with the aluminum body and no way to really have that gun sliding out, I guess is what I want to say. This thing doesn't go anywhere, even with the added weight. Now, is this going to be good for everybody? Probably not. There are going to be some people out there who are immediately going to say the gun is going to weigh too much. And you know what? That's fine. You may feel that way. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're right. What I am saying, though, for you is that a gun like this, to me, operates and works very well with aluminum frame. So at the end of the day, what does this really mean for you? That's going to be hard to say. You know, I can't convince you to buy any of this stuff. And again, I know the price tag is going to be high for a lot of people. But keep in mind, for those of you out there who are SIG fanboys, who like the X-Carry model, and you really do like the handgun, and you were able to get one of these Pro Series, although a lot of people say this is not a Pro Series, but it is, you got to realize that, to me, this works. And it works because of several different reasons. Reason number one, it's optic ready, comes with co-witnessing ability. Reason number two, you have really now a solidly built handgun with really, really good materials being used with the aluminum frame and, of course, the steel slide. And overall, you just have an amazingly well-built gun. Now, do I think this will, convince a ton of people to go and buy it? I hope so, because I'm going to buy one, and I'm super happy with what I'm seeing. Now, this one will be going back. I am going to shoot it, and I'm going to follow up this video with that so that you guys can see and get my opinions as to how this feels when you're shooting it. I get a feeling that this thing is going to work friggin' awesome. First off, you got the additional weight in the lower, and it just feels right. I mean, there's no other way to say it, guys. It just feels right. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. Tell me what you think. Would you actually pay for this thing? And if not, why? Why wouldn't you do it? Or if you're interested in this, why are you so interested in this? Is it because you have this? Is it because you have this obsession with aluminum guns like I may have? I'm not gonna lie, I do like them, but at the same time, I want to know what you guys think. So leave those comments down below. Hope you have a great night. Stay safe, and as always, everyone, freedom is never free.